The iPad mini is arguably Apple's most forgotten mobile device. Before this refresh, the iPad mini wasn't exactly a great purchase since the internals were heavily lagging behind. Comparing the iPad mini 5 to the brand new iPad mini 6, you're getting an upgrade in basically every single category possible. A12 versus A15, 7.9 inch compared to 8.3. 7 megapixel camera compared to 12 megapixel camera. Lightning compared to USB-C. By the way, Apple, thank you. Now do it for the iPhones. You also get the ability to use the second generation Apple Pencil compared to the first generation Apple Pencil. And of course, you get the added benefit of 5G. If we take a look at the iPad mini, it finally has that same modern design language with other, more expensive and more luxurious Apple products. The squared edge design, the full screen display, the good camera system on the back. If we take a look at the top front portion of the iPad, you'll get that new ultra-wide camera. So now you'll gain access to cool ultra-wide selfies as well as center stage for apps that support it. The A15 on the iPad mini is a beast. It is actually on par with the iPhone 13 Pro, not the iPhone 13. See, the iPhone 13 has 4 GPU cores and the iPhone 13 Pro, along with this iPad mini, has 5 GPU cores. The one thing I don't really like about the iPad mini is something that a lot of people refer to as jelly scrolling or uneven scrolling. So basically, this is the first thing I noticed right when I unboxed the iPad, and then I went on Twitter, I started scrolling and I'm like, wait, what? Something's weird. Let me explain. So yeah, basically whenever you are scrolling on the iPad, it just doesn't look like the left side of the screen matches the right side of the screen and vice versa. It is a little bit more obvious on camera. It's not that obvious in person because that recording that you guys just watched, that looked very bad. So I'm happy to say in person it doesn't look that bad, but I noticed it without even needing a camera to record with, you know. I was just scrolling and it's very, very noticeable. So if that's something that's okay with you guys, now you know. One thing to note is for $500, which is the base price for the iPad mini, you're getting 64 gigabytes and you're getting Wi-Fi. If you want 5G, that's an extra 150. If you want 256 gigabytes of storage, that's also an extra 150. So basically, if you want the best, most maxed out iPad, you're looking at $800. And I'm sorry, but don't do that. That is not worth it. In fact, this is like the only Apple device that I recommend not upgrading. Or if you have to, upgrade the storage. Because I feel like 64 gigs is, you know, it depends what you do. But I think a lot of even average people, not even talking about tech people, even the average person could agree that $500, 64 gigs, not good. Now look, whether you bought the iPad mini for work or not, eventually you're probably going to watch a few movies on there. The speakers on the iPad mini are fine. You do get dual speaker support, and if you're sitting in a quiet room, you won't really have any issue hearing the music or movies that you're watching. But if you do have a lot of background noise happening, like for example, your neighbor annoyingly mowing his lawn before even Jesus wakes up, then you will have slight issue hearing it. It's just not as full sounding. It's not bad though. For the 5 people left in the world that actually record videos with the iPad, you'll be happy to know this does do up to 4K 60. It even uses cinematic stabilization, not to be confused with cinematic video. The iPad mini doesn't really look that bad at all when recording video. It actually looks pretty good. There's 2 methods to unlocking the iPad mini, and I'm sure many people know this, but if you don't, you do get your typical screen pin lock, or you can use Touch ID that is located on the power button itself. You do not get Face ID with the iPad, but to be honest, Touch ID, not bad. It actually works pretty darn good. For $500, I just feel like this iPad is a bit too expensive for the average consumer, not to be confused with your average consumer. I really wish this iPad came out at $400. And you know, if Apple really wanted it to be $500, they should have at least given us 128 gigs. Because let me tell you, if you're a college student and you're using the iPad for college work, university work, whatever it may be, that 64 gigs is really gonna fill up really quickly. So to spend $150 more on 128 gigs, now your iPad is $650 plus tax. More than likely, it's hovering right around $700. That's just a tough sell in my opinion. Now, if you love it like that, if you really love the form factor and you're willing to overpay, because that's essentially what you're doing, you're overpaying for the form factor, then yeah, pick it up. But what do I know? I'm just a reviewer. I want to know what you guys have to say. I want to know what the consumer says about the iPad mini. Are you guys wanting to pick it up? Are you guys never gonna pick it up? Does this device resonate with you? Does it not? I want to know. This was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.